Imagine this. You've been training for months, pushing your body further than you ever had before. You've been documenting the entire process, putting in the miles, the sweat, the sacrifice. You've already envisioned the finish line. Imagine that victorious moment, crossing it with your arms raised, feeling on top of the world. But the truth is, nothing, absolutely nothing, could have prepared me for the actual experience of running my first marathon. Bro, let me tell you, it was a day full of surprises, some serious curveballs, and more than a few moments where I had to dig deeper than I ever thought possible just to keep going. This is the story of my first marathon, the one where everything that could have went wrong did. So let's talk about it. So the day is actually here. I am about to run 26.2 miles, the marathon that we've all been waiting for. It's kind of crazy though. Over the last few months, I've been kind of documenting my process, and to finally be here is crazy. And right now I have a little bit of mixed emotions. I'm a little bit nervous, but I'm excited at the same time. And I'm just excited to see how far I'm gonna push myself. So I'm gonna be documenting my process as I usually do. And I'll show you guys the behind the scenes of all 26.2 miles, and hopefully I'll make it through. So wish me luck. I'm about to go stretch, and then we're just about to get started. I had been preparing for this marathon for months. This wasn't some spur of the moment decision. I made a pact with myself earlier this year that I'll be running a marathon on my birthday. The goal was to run an official race, but for some reason, I decided to look up races halfway through my training and there were none around me. But since I promised myself I was going to run on my birthday, I just decided to run the full 26.2 miles by myself. Just me versus me. No bystanders, no social media, no outside competition. Just a race within myself. I've documented my journey, showed you guys the highs and the lows of training, the early morning runs, the long stretches of road where it's just you and the grind. There were times where I felt unstoppable, and there were days where I didn't even want to lace up my shoes. But every mile was building towards this moment, race day. When the day finally came, I felt ready. Well, at least I thought I was ready. I had my routine locked in. My gear was set. I had a strategy in place that helped me pace myself. Everything felt dialed in. But let me tell you, the universe had other plans that day. So let me take you on a play-by-play behind the scenes of my first marathon. So the race starts, and I'm feeling good. Energy's high, legs are fresh, and I'm cruising through those first few miles with ease. My adrenaline was most definitely maxed out. All right, so I'm a little bit more than 5 miles in. What is that? Less than a quarter way done, but I feel good. Pacing myself, just keeping my mind just locked in on the prize. Got a little bit ways to go, but we feel good, man. My legs is intact. We gotta keep going. Can't stop, won't stop. Let's get it. But then somewhere around mile 5, the first sign of trouble hits me. I go to take a sip of water from my hydration pack, and nothing's coming through. I'm squeezing the tube, biting down, nothing. The tube's jammed or something. I don't know what's going on, but in that moment, all I could think is, of course this happens now. I could have panicked, I could have freaked out, and I could have let it get to my head. But instead, I made a quick adjustment. I decided to slow down every few miles and drink directly from the backpack reservoir. It wasn't ideal, it was very inconveniencing, and it definitely threw off my rhythm a little. But you gotta roll with what you got, right? Sometimes life throws a curveball and you just gotta keep swinging. So once I accepted the whole water pack situation, I got into a rhythm again. Mile 6 through 15 was solid. I was focused and I was in the zone. I even started documenting my progress every 5 miles. I'm thinking, all right, this is it. I'm back on track. But if you ever run long distance, you know at some point, it stops being about your physical ability and becomes a mental game. The pain starts creeping in. Your mind starts playing tricks on you, and that's when you really gotta focus. And let me tell you, I've never been so grateful for YouTube videos and podcasts in my life. They were keeping me locked in, giving me that extra push to keep my pace steady. I felt good. My training was kicking in. All those months of preparation were paying off. But then, mile 16 happened. I glanced down at my phone, and it's at 10%. 10%. If you ever been on the middle of a long run or workout, you know that feeling. The panic starts to set in because, let's be real, my phone wasn't just my source of entertainment. It was my lifeline, my GPS, my music, my way of tracking my progress, everything. So I had to make a choice. Either keep going with the music and let my phone die completely, or shut everything off and save that battery. I turned off the music, I turned off the YouTube, turned off the podcast, and suddenly, it was just me and my thoughts. All of my thoughts. I won't lie, that was tough. I was 16 miles deep, and now I didn't have any distractions to keep me going. It was all mental from here on out. And to make matters worse, I noticed that my Fitbit, which was supposed to be my backup for tracking my distance, had completely stopped working too. So I had no real way of knowing where I was going and how much further I had to go.
I swear, everything working against me right now. For my water pack, now my phone is on 3%. I still got 6 more miles. I'm 20 miles in. I had to turn my brightness down, turn my music off, turn my podcast off. I'm not listening to nothing. Oh my God. 6 more miles to go. Just me and my thoughts. Almost there.
At that point, you start questioning everything. Why am I doing this? Can I really finish this thing? But here's the thing. You gotta remind yourself why you started in the first place. This wasn't just about crossing the finish line. It was about pushing myself, seeing what I was truly capable of. I wasn't gonna let a dead phone or a busted Fitbit stop me. By mile 22, my phone had officially died. No more GPS, no more clock, no more distractions. And at that point, my mind was just screaming at me to stop, to quit. My body was aching in places I didn't even know could ache. And that's when the mental battle hit its peak. With no music, no podcast, no data, just me and the road, I realized something powerful. In those moments, you have to rely on something deeper than motivation. Motivation is temporary. What keeps you going when everything's falling apart is discipline. It's grit. It's a decision to keep putting one foot in front of the other, even when everything in you wants to quit. So I restarted my Fitbit just to track those final 4 miles. I wasn't about to finish this race without logging something. The last 2 miles felt like a lifetime. I could see the finish line in the distance, but it felt like I was moving in slow motion. My legs were heavy, my mind was foggy, and every step was a struggle. But something funny happens when you're that close to your goal. You start to realize that quitting is no longer an option. Listen, I didn't come this far just to come this far. I wasn't stopping 2 miles short. I had already overcome the water pack disaster, the phone dying, and the Fitbit messing up. What's 2 more miles? What's a little more discomfort? So I pushed through. Every step was agony, but I knew deep down I was gonna finish. And when I finally crossed that finish line, man, it wasn't the perfect, triumphant moment I had imagined. It wasn't glamorous or picture perfect, but it was real. It was raw, and it was earned.
I made it. Barely, like by the skin of my teeth, but I made it. And That experience was so worth it. Everything was against me, but I had to push through. By far, that was one of the hardest things I ever did, mentally and physically at the same time. Will I do it again? I don't know. Probably. I'm just crazy like that. I didn't look at my pace. I didn't do any of that. It took me longer than I expected, but I finished. That's all that matters, y'all. I got my Pedialyte. Trying and get my electrolytes back. Trying to rest my body. Listen, I've been getting all these calls and birthday texts. I haven't even responded to nobody. I'm about to go to sleep, and I'm gonna just respond later tonight. It's been real, y'all. Peace.
Running that marathon taught me more about myself than I ever could have learned in training. The reality is, life doesn't always go the way you plan. You can prepare all you want, you can set goals, have everything lined up perfectly, but at the end of the day, you've got to be ready for the unexpected. It's not about how smooth the journey is, it's about your willingness to keep moving forward when everything's going wrong. That's where growth happens. That's where you find out what you're really made of. So, yeah, the marathon wasn't perfect. Things went wrong. My water pack broke, my phone died, and my backup tracking failed. But I finished. And that's what matters. And honestly, that's life. You don't win because things go perfectly. You win because you refuse to quit when things go wrong. You win because you keep moving forward, one step at a time, no matter what. So whether you're running a marathon or just trying to level up in life, remember this: nothing worth having comes easy. But if you stay disciplined, stay focused, and keep pushing, no matter what curveballs life throws your way, you will cross that finish line. Let's get after it. Go all in and stay unstoppable.